Before you start your installation, there are two important steps. First, locate the outlets that you want to use for powering the system. While EV outlets are ideal, most homes will find the easiest source is in the garage. Here we have selected to install power on two sides of the garage because this is a 110-foot job. You will need a power source for approximately every 60 to 75 feet of lights. Next, you will need to measure the linear footage of your home. There are several methods to accomplish this. The easiest will be to just bring out a tape measure. Measure and note all of the areas that you would like to wrap with lights. You can do a full home wrap or partial. In this video, we wrapped about 10 feet back on the home on one side to easily connect a power source in the garage. We also measure differently for the height of peaks or gables. Make note of how many feet per section and put together your order. Visit myeverlights.com to build your own custom order. Purchasing the color-changing bundles will save you money in the long run, rather than building an a la carte option. On the storefront, select color-changing bundles and then select your needed linear footage. If you are between the 100-foot, 150-foot, or 200-foot bundles, there are options to buy additional light strands in spools of 25 feet. Having a little extra on hand is not a bad thing for needed repairs or mistakes during your install. Bundles also come with channel. Select the best color match for your home. These can be painted to match exactly when they arrive at your home if you need a custom color. Check your kit to ensure everything has arrived before you start your installation. Before you get started on installing lights, it's best to set up your EverLights network bridge. The bridge comes with a blue power cord, a black power adapter, and a black Ethernet cable. First, plug the Ethernet cable into your router or network switch. Next, plug in the power cable with the included power adapter, never plugged into a USB port on the router. Once powered up, the bridge will go through its startup sequence. When it turns blue and stays blue, you will know it is connected to the internet and ready to pair. If you have not already done so, download the EverLights app from your phone's app store. Once in the app, navigate to Settings and select Bridge, then Pair Now. If on the same network, the app should quickly find the bridge. Confirm the serial number showing in the app matches the serial number on the bottom of the bridge. Once the bridge is paired, add a wireless receiver by navigating to Settings, Zones. For this step, you will want to use the blue wire nuts included in your kit to temporarily connect the power supply and some lights to the receiver. Click on Zones, then the plus in the upper right corner. Now plug in the power supply for the wireless receiver, and the bridge and receiver will pair together. All paired zones will show up in the Zones tab in the EverLights app. These zones can be customized by clicking on the zone to change the name and adjust the zone length. If the zone length is set too low, not all the lights will turn on, so be sure to approximate the length a little conservatively. Setting the zones excessively high will not hurt anything, but for the best appearance of some of the lighting effects, it's best to be somewhat accurate to the number of lights in the zone. Now go in the app to Sequences, select any sequence, and press the power button to verify the lights are working properly. Now it's time to get started on installing the lights. Color-changing lights must be installed in a consistent direction because of the data. It doesn't matter if you go left to right or right to left. As long as you consistently move in the same direction, everything will work well. On the back of the lights, you will see arrows showing the flow of data. Make sure to keep the lights going in that direction every time you splice in a new strand of lights or add a data buffer. In this installation, the home's first significant portion is a peak. To get the spacing right, it is important to start from the peak. This is especially important if there are multiple peaks on the home. It looks best for the light spacing to match on all of them. Our first step goes quick, so you might miss it. But first we unwind and measure out 10 feet of lights for the side of the home. Bring out the lights to match the angle of the peak. Give yourself a little extra or measure it exactly, but it's always easier to have a couple extra lights that need to be cut off versus having to splice on a single light because you guessed one short. Next, we take a piece of channel and cut the angle to match the top of the peak. Our installer has been doing this for a while, So here we just eyeball it. You can climb the ladder to measure and mark the cut on your channel before you make any permanent snips. You will do this to 2 pieces of channel so they butt up to one another. The goal is to have the lights evenly spaced coming off the middle of the peak. So aim your cut for the midpoint between 2 holes in the channel. Next, install your lights into the channel by feeding them through and screwing on a cap. These should be finger tight, but do not use a wrench as you can strip out the plastic threads with too much torque. Leave the last light out of the channel for now, as it will overlap with the next piece. Next, take this piece of channel up and make sure it is flush against the house and fits nicely at the peak. Use the appropriate screws for your fascia material to secure the top lip of the channel to your home. 1 screw should hold the channel for now, or you can add a second at the midpoint of the piece. But do not yet place a screw at the bottom of the channel, as it will make it very difficult to install the next piece down. Now install the second piece of channel at the peak, making sure the joint between the 2 pieces is nice and tight. The second piece of channel coming down will overlap with the first. Before mounting the second piece of channel, secure the lights by screwing on the caps, leaving out the first and last light. Now install the light in the overlap pieces of channel and secure with a screw in the overlapped area in order to tightly secure both pieces to the house. Continue until you reach the bottom. Transitions from channel or drip edge into gutters can be problematic pinch points. Remove any unnecessary sharp edges to prevent the wire from getting damaged due to expansion and contraction of the metal. For extra protection, you can also wrap this exposed wire in electrical tape. Paint the exposed wire to hide it further. To maintain consistent 9-inch spacing in these transitions, it often works best to include a light in the gutter end cap. For gutter install, use the included layout tape by placing it on the top edge of the gutter. Placing the tape on the face of the gutter is also an option, but it is harder to center the holes when you cannot clearly see the gutter lip, and removing the tape with holes drilled through it is more of a challenge. Run out enough layout tape so you can see any conflicting gutter nails or clips ahead of time. You can always cheat lights closer together to avoid obstacles, though try to keep it to a ½ inch or less for each light so the spacing does not look off. Depending on the gutter profile, you may need to pinch the back lip of the gutter in each light location using a seamer or some pliers. Gently but firmly screw a cap on each light to secure it in place. This location is the end of a spool and also a convenient location to tie in a power booster. Power tie-ins require Y-split connectors that are easier to install when the tinned wire ends are snipped off. In this case, the power booster will be located in the garage, so we connect 2 wire at the roofline connection and run that into the garage. For a straight connection, you want to strip about 1/4 inch of insulation off each wire. For Y-splits, increase that to roughly 3/8 of an inch. Here we will start by grabbing the positive wire labeled EverLights from the installed lights and twist it together with the positive wire labeled EverLights from the 2-wire. Insert the wire pair into a blue butt splice connector and crimp tight. Now repeat the same process for the neutral wires labeled GND. Before splicing in the additional lights, double check the lights are going in the correct direction. This is a new spool and the input end is labeled. If using a scrap, double check the arrow on the back of the light before proceeding. The input wires for the new spool of lights will all be crimped individually in the butt splices, so the ends do not need to be snipped off. Crimp a pink butt splice onto each data line. Complete the connection by connecting like to like wires. Always double check the connection is correct before crimping. There's nothing worse than connecting the wrong wires, so give it a good triple check before heat shrinking the connections. Create a weatherproof connection by heat shrinking the connections. This can be done with a torch, heat gun, barbecue lighter, or even a cigar torch. Use the tool you are most comfortable with and take your time, being careful not to scorch the insulation on the wires. Heat the connections from the middle outwards and carefully inspect that the glue inside each connection thoroughly coats all exposed wires and in between the wires on the Y-split. For added UV protection, wrap the connections in electrical tape. When you reach a jump in the roofline, you will need to cut the string of lights and insert some unlit wire. In this case, we are going to skip ahead to the next peak before making this jump. We do this to make sure the spacing at the peak is correct and to minimize the number of connections that need to be made. To do this, just be sure to unwind enough lights to make it to the other end of our jump. If you have a jump of unlit wire 5 feet or greater, you need to add a data buffer after the last light and before the unlit wire. A data buffer sends a stronger signal than an individual light does, which keeps a clean signal over long stretches. Remember that data flows directionally, so install your data buffer in the correct orientation by double-checking the arrow markings. Connections are like before, stripping 1/4 inch of insulation off each wire and connecting like-to-like wires. The best method for hiding the unlit wire jump depends on the material of the roof, but can generally be done cleanly by tucking behind the flashing or stapling the wire secure. Next, we're going to finish up the power booster install by drilling into the garage, since there are no EV outlets on this home. Using a long 3/8 inch drill bit, we drill through the stucco into the garage. Measure this accurately to avoid hitting studs or objects inside of the garage, and always drill from the exterior. Use a glow rod or fish tape to guide the wire through the hole, and pull all the excess wire into the garage. Secure the wires along the wall using a low voltage stapler or appropriate wire clamps. Splice the 2-wire to the power booster and secure to the wall near an outlet. Next, we will do the same thing on the other side of the garage where the lights start. You can see that we are using the underside of the soffit grooves to hide the holes. To extend the life of your more expensive long drill bits, you can first drill a pilot hole with a shorter drill bit. Make sure to seal holes with an exterior sealant or silicone once the wires have been run. This run of unlit wire is greater than 5 feet, so again, we will use a data buffer to send a strong data signal. Connect the wireless receiver to the data buffer and replace the wire nuts with butt splice connections. In this video, we bring the unlit wire up through the gutter. This is a clean look, but be sure to seal the hole very well. Clean the inside of the gutter before applying a liberal amount of sealant. Wrap the exposed wire in white electrical tape or paint to hide. Connect the unlit wire to the lights and you're about done. The last thing is to plug everything in and give it a test run. When powering up the system, be sure to always plug in the power supply for the wireless receiver first. The order of any other power supplies beyond that does not matter. Light them up and enjoy for many holidays and events to come.